Yeah, but I mean, is this the first year?
No, 10th year.
10th year. Now, do you guys go on a circuit? Do you go to different conventions, or do you come to specific ones? Depends on how much money you got to go places. I think it's wonderful how much you guys love this. Thank you for coming. Thank you for supporting.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everybody. Check out the comics. Old and new. Come here, young man. Let's say hi.
Greetings, everyone. How are you all doing today? All right, that's what I like to hear. You enjoying the second day of Emerald City Comic Con? Yeah, awesome. So I just got a few quick announcements. Oh, I remembered my other one. So anyways, I have a few quick announcements. Just if you have any phone calls that you like to take, please take them outside. We'll be able to let you back in. Secondly, if you have pictures that you'd like to take, please just turn off the flash photography. Third thing, we have a microphone here in the middle. If there's going to be questions to be asked, please use that, because right now we're doing what's called FlipON.TV, and they want to be able to hear what you're asking. So that's going to be live streaming and for future reference too. And if you look back in the back there, you'll see a gentleman waving his hand. He's going to be the one that's recording for us. Things are going to get started here in just a few minutes. Have fun.
I'm actually not going to keep this on during the panel.
What? Why not?
Fun ruiner.
All right, welcome. Thank you all for coming. Yeah. So this panel, as you know, is creating cosplay materials and techniques. On the panel today, we have Brittany Cox, a.k.a. BritTheBadger. And she costumes with White Rabbit Costuming.
Yep, that's us. White Rabbit.
And we have Jesse Laggers. Costumes with Midnight Armor.
Indeed, indeed, we do.
Right. And we have Miranda Pookie Bear Hart.
Hi. Pookie Bear.
All right, cool.
Pookie Bear.
All right, so the way that this panel is going to work is I'm just going to go down the line and ask some basic questions of all the panelists, and then we'll get into more materials and techniques and see how folks made stuff. So, oh, by the way, I'm Benja Barker. I costume with Alter Ego Society. So, thank you. So let's start down at the end with Brittany. Brittany, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got, what your cosplay experience is.
Okay, let's see. I first started getting into cosplay in the summer of 2010. That was mostly just like recreational and whatnot. My first really big costume that got somewhat noticed, I guess, would be my GLaDOS, humanoid GLaDOS that I took to New York City Comic Con the following year. And then since then, like, the costume community has been so amazing, so that I just kind of dived more into it and got really excited about it and just started pushing myself further and further and further. What I'm best well known for would be my League of Legends cosplays. I've done Sejuani with my boyfriend Ian in the giant boar suit.
Probably seen at PAX.
Yeah. And then I've also done some other League from like Oriana, the classic version in the shiny armor, and Elise, the giant spider queen. I have 10-inch tall platforms plus a 5-inch heel on that.
That's awesome.
But yeah, so then this is my most recent costume. I just finished this like day before yesterday. So this is Saddle Ranger Fluttershy from the season 4 of My Little Pony.
Fantastic. And Jesse?
Hi. Basically, I run Midnight Armor. You may have heard of me somehow. I was featured on a little TV show called Heroes of Cosplay. That whole thing happened. So there was that.
The one boy.
Yeah, the one boy, the token male, apparently, off of Heroes of Cosplay. I don't know. Actually, funny story behind that whole bit is we didn't apply to be on the show. We were just walking around Wizard World Portland in one of our outfits, and the show came up to us, and we're like, hey, could we put you on a TV show for your costume? And I went,
awesome.
Of course. This sounds amazing. Yes.
Sure, I'll take your money. That's
Yeah,
whatever.
it was a thing. But we do all sorts of costuming, we do commissions, and basically we're an open prop house at the moment.
That was me.
Oh.
That good.
Yeah.
False chains off of things.
Can't
But
handle
yeah, so we've done quite a few costumes. I've always kind of been cosplaying. I just never knew it was cosplay. Pretty much, I grew up and I think I got a Ghostbusters costume for Halloween once, and then my parents found out that they couldn't take it off me, no matter what. And so I had like a little blaster, and it was like all foam and everything else like that, and I just loved the hell out of it. So
That's
it
the
was
signs of a cosplayer.
yeah, it was from then on out. So people are like, how long have you been cosplaying? Like,
Since
don't-
birth.
no, I was knee high to a duck, maybe. Yeah.
And Miranda?
Hi. So I've been, I guess, making my own costumes since like 2009, but it was just like bit by bit, just kind of piecing things together. And like I was in it like 2 years before, but like I didn't really know what it was. I was the cat girl. I was one of those ones. I don't know. We all went through our really, really way too excited to be there phase. Well, not everyone, which they can just pretend they didn't. But then I guess I've been doing it on and off because I usually have a full-time job. My life's really chaotic. I have a lot going on. And so like I do it in like small spaces. I've done it like I've had to make costumes like in a closet because we have like no room. It'd be like one way or another, I'm making this costume kind of thing. So just like if I can do it, anyone can do it. So that sort of thing.
Yeah, and my experience with cosplaying, when stories come up, it just keeps getting pushed further and further back into my life. I'm like, oh yeah, I guess I did that. But my primary experience with cosplaying is with Alter Ego Society in Portland. We've done lots of charity fundraising events, and I've started to fabricate costumes. Our shtick is like all original costumes, so it's like all original designs. We make up our own stuff. So yeah, I've been doing that since about 2007, and yeah, I recently got excited about starting to do stuff professionally because I'm like, I've done it for like a couple of amateur movies and stuff like that, and I'm like, yeah, I actually, it's like I have a spacesuit, like I should do this. So.
It's always the answer when you have a space suit. I should do this. I have a space suit.
I could live with this.
In the vacuum of space, no one can hear you squee. All right, so I want to go down the line and just have you guys talk a little bit about your costume, and then we'll circle back around and keep going through this. So tell us a little bit about your costume.
the one that I'm on right now. Okay, so like I said earlier, this is Fluttershy from season 4 of My Little Pony. It's from the Power Ponies episode.
Friendship
The moment
is
I saw
magic.
it, I started, it was in like late January. The moment I saw it, I was like, I need to make this for Emerald City Comic Con because, you know, superheroes and I love ponies, and I really wanted an excuse to make wings. So like I took the design that was presented in the episode, and then what I did from that is that I kind of took it and made it my own. There's a lot of discrepancies between the original design and this, because the original design is really quite simple. And I wanted to break up the lines of the teal of the bodysuit a lot. So there's like 2 different types of teal fabric in here. One is a stretch. This pattern fabric on the top is a non-stretch fabric, so I was attempting to make a bodysuit out of non-stretch fabric. Yay!
Yeah,
that's always fun.
Boldly done.
Rage. Okay. But yeah, so the other fabric that I have on here is a 2-way stretch neoprene. So yeah, it's pretty sturdy. And so yeah, so that was the first part I made. I got these awful looking like go-go boots from a thrift store. And then I made boot covers over those, my first real boot covers, and I'm so glad that they're not falling apart. It's great. And the big project for it was the wings, because these wings, they are actually posable for photo shoots. So right now they're folded up, but earlier today I had them out where they were completely up and like they can curve in front, which is pretty fun.
So is that like ball joints or?
Yeah, so there's a ball joint at the shoulder, and then there's a ball joint at the wrist joint, and then a hinge at the elbow, and then around the radius and ulna there's another pipe that's slightly larger than the one that's internally. So that rotates around to mimic your radius and ulna rotation.
So it's pretty simple then.
Sure, if you're talking about biology, I guess. Like I pulled a lot from like bird anatomy because I actually have a background in natural sciences. So
that's handy.
I pulled a lot from that. So instead of like making, hey, this is my wing shape, I was like, okay, what's the skeleton underneath, and then I'll build off of that because that's how wings are built in the natural world.
That's perfect. And we'll circle back around and go into more detail on costumes. But Jesse, tell us about your costume.
So today I am Batmanuel, if you've heard of me. You know, how's your sister? Basically, a friend of ours came to us and they said, you know, I've purchased 2 live-action Tick suits and the Destructo suit. So he has Patrick Warburton's actual suit. It smells terrible.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's
Well, what we
that's
found
latex,
out yesterday is the way that he got into the suit is he actually lubed himself down with KY to squeeze into the suits, and I don't recommend that, by the way.
A little sticky.
It's not good for silicone or suits in general. You don't, yeah.
That's good. To know.
So he asked us to, you know, he's like, well, you know, I want to wear this to a con, and I went, okay, well, I'll clearly have to come up with a costume to wear this with you, and so they chose Batmanuel for me because they felt it was fitting. Yeah, I suddenly realized I have jerks for friends. But pretty much, the entire costume sewn by our company. It's sewn by Chin Chin. There are some materials in here, like we put a flexible wire material in here so we could get the outrageous collar popping here.
Make that collar pop all the way to your ears.
Oh yeah, they can bring it all the way up and it'll.
Which is very high for these
Yes.
particular ears.
Wait, what? I didn't hear you. Sorry, bad joke. I'm sorry. I do a lot of leatherworking, and so I was, you know, we started this costume Monday.
Oh man.
I know that feel.
So I was like, well, I don't have time to sculpt the mask and do everything else, so I'll just make it out of leather quickly. So this is version 1.0, just to get the feel of how well Batmanuel is received in the community of choicey costumes that I like to play out.
Right.
And then you know, it's basically cloth. There's a outrageous cod piece that I have on, but there's children in the audience, so I'll stay seated.
Outrageous cod piece is my something cover band. I'm blanking.
And then I did make the boots that I'm currently wearing, and they are fully leathered boots and everything else. So,
Awesome. Yeah, we'll have you show that off.
yeah,
in a little bit.
cobbled my shoes together.
Nice.
It's harder than you think.
Yeah, shoemaking. Not easy.
I'll take
That's
one
a
off.
whole nother level. There's like
Yeah, there you
hot glue, and then there's shoe cobbler. Like
Yeah.
you gotta work your way up the line.
That's a spectrum.
You get a lot of weird requests once you tell people you can make shoes, and they're like, "Oh, really? Go on." Like, no, it's a lot of work and it's a lot of pain, and
Oh, God,
it's
Give me like $200.
it's worse than you'd ever think for making anything. Shoes
Yeah.
are terrible.
I have so many nightmares about shoes, especially since I made Elise.
Yeah.
Making
Yeah.
boot covers is even.
I know. It's so much easier.
So, Miranda, tell us about your costume. Sorry, I'll try and speak in the mic here.
That's all
good
right.
call.
I guess I should probably do that too. Shocker. But I am doing a version of Wonder Woman called Bombshell Wonder Woman. So she's all pin-up and cute. I see another Wonder Woman. She's cute. So. But I've always really liked Wonder Woman as an icon. And just like when I learned it was a pin-up version, I was like, oh, okay. And then I also learned, oh, sorry, I was reaching for my lipstick because I heard that the artist was going to be here. So I was like, well, get him to sign the inside of my shirt or something. But I really love this version. So it's pin-up. And then I patterned this whole thing on myself, like, and making a structured shirt is, it doesn't sound that hard, but when you want to make something look like a uniform, it's a little tricky, making it look official, whatever. And then if you want to know an easy way to make your own patterns, saran wrap. You wrap yourself up like a burrito, and then you just draw on the seams, and then you lay it flat, and then you got your own pattern.
Presumably, you have to like cut yourself out of it, or have a
I
friend
just roll around.
cut.
Just
That's
imprint
actually-
it like a stamp.
That's actually exactly how I patterned this bodysuit.
Yeah, saran wrap.
Oh, that's
There you
awesome.
go.
Saran wrap and duct tape. It's great.
Duct tape or saran wrap or?
Exactly how I patterned my boots too. I
There
saran
you
wrapped
go.
my legs to make sure everything would look correct and cut it
Saran wrap
off
and hot glue panel
Yep.
over.
Wow, I've never actually heard of that.
Yeah. Well, duct tape. I like you.
It's just a little
Yeah.
trickier when you're doing something on your butt because, especially if you're trying to do it by yourself, and it's like I don't want to.
That's when
cut
you
my
need
helps-
butt.
it
really,
helps to have a
really
buddy.
good friend.
Yeah.
really good friend.
Please,
very
please
close
do
friend.
not cut my butt. For the love of God,
Do not cut my butt with that pair of scissors, please.
I will be so embarrassed. What am I going to tell my mom?
None of us will live this down.
Someone's going to walk in,
Yeah.
or like I'm
Okay.
painting a nude bodysuit, and it's just like everyone that walks in. I thought you were naked.
I like pulling the Tony Stark line when that happens. Let's be honest, this isn't the worst thing you've caught me doing.
All right, so Brittany, just to go into process a little bit, because I want to keep the focus on like how to make stuff, because I've been to a lot of cosplay panels that like don't get into the nitty gritty details, and really like when I came to panels, like that's the stuff that I wanted. So how do you choose the materials that you make a costume out of?
Okay, so this goes into a lot of like the thought process. Like I put in so much thought into what materials I'm going to use when I pick a costume. And just doing research and looking at the costume, feeling out the character is kind of a big thing for me. Like if it's like, okay, this character is regal, or no, they're like beaten down, or like what's the function of this piece? Like is there something rubbing on it constantly, and it's like there's a lot of different things that come up. Like for instance, for Fluttershy, it's like, well, one, it's like, okay, we need to find teal fabrics. Let's be honest, we need to find teal that kind of match, and that's kind of hard to do. So
Does the fabric store think you're crazy? Like just going in and out of the store with like giant bolts of fabric in the sun? Just like come back 5 times before you even get
yeah,
to
I end up like going down like fabric aisles all the time, just like even if I've been to a store like 10 or however many times, I end up just going down and I just feel the fabrics. It's like, does this feel right? Is it the right, like, sure, like when I first got into this, like I still don't know like the names of different fabrics of like some things. Like I don't even know
the
what.
stretchy one.
The stretchy ones, like I need something stretchy. I need something
That
shiny.
pretty one that shimmers?
The shiny
Yeah,
one.
or like
That's a kind
that's
of
too
fabric,
shiny.
right?
I don't want that. So I've been learning throughout this whole process of like, okay, that's a chiffon, that's a satin, that's a knit, that's a linen. Like
And that's a no.
Where do you find that info out? Like how do you learn that?
well, usually, you
Internet.
know, they have it labeled on the bolt.
Oh,
Usually there's a sticker.
I came here to learn.
This isn't for you.
Is that the real reason we're at this panel? Is
Yeah.
because you.
Oh yeah, by the way, there's also going to be an audience. Sorry guys.
Yeah.
So there's that.
But yeah, so that goes into a lot of thought, like especially with fabric choice. Fabric choice when you're doing mainly fabric costume is key. If you're going more into armor, it's like, okay, what are the qualities of the armor that you want? Like, what are you going for? Like, you're probably going to be going for light. You want it smooth or do you want it rough? Like, and there's just like, this thought process just is constantly going on, and like,
How do you want the light to hit it?
how do you
People
want it to
taking
look? Like,
pictures,
yeah, like,
How it looks in flash. I always do that. I'm just
yeah.
like,
Like
photographing,
sometimes,
photo shoot with some fabric.
yeah, like sometimes like nothing beats leather, like just right out. Like leather is awesome. I love it. Such a nerd of leather. I love it. I love it as a material. So I've done like a lot of like hand stitch work on leather mostly. I
Unless you
haven't,
mess up, but it's unforgiving.
yeah, it's
Permanent
unforgiving like
holes.
that.
Weathering.
There you go.
Right.
Around in
Weather.
the dirt.
You're smart. But yeah, so there's a lot of thought process that goes behind everything. And in terms of designing things, like if it's like, oh, hey, I want to make wings, but I want to push myself in how I make wings. Okay, how am I going to do this? What references can I pull up? How do I want the end result to be? And there's just a ton of just thought process that goes into
The most
that.
complicated way I could make this.
Yeah, exactly.
No, actually, what you want to ask yourself is what's the most simple way?
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
What's the simplest way to get the effect that you want?
Yeah. So, Jesse, what goes into your process when you try and figure out what you're gonna make?
Well, like one of the main, she hit on it a few times, but the main things that we like really like to focus on is how would this actually be worn? Like whether it's a video
Right.
game character, whether it's whatever else, we have to make sure
Like
that
within the world.
Yeah, within the world, like how would it actually be worn? Where would these scars come from on it? Like what pieces would wear in quicker? If this costume was real, and that's how we focus on all of our armor. I love working in leather as well. A few of my friends preach Warbler, and I'm like, why would you make anything in Warbler when you can make it out of leather and it's going to last 10 times longer and it's going to breathe better and you won't sweat to death in it and you won't have to worry about leaving it in the sun or whatever else. So I choose my materials to last the longest.
So durability is a
Yeah,
major
I go for
factor.
durability more than anything else because, as we all know, costuming is hell.
Isn't that
Oh,
like
yeah,
We
yeah.
all go through pain for costuming, and
Right.
like the one thing I want is I don't want any incidents at the con or at a photo shoot or at anything else. So I want everything as durable as possible, and that's the one thing that we really, really do focus on.
I
Is that a
second
LARPing
that.
technique?
I don't know. I didn't come from the LARPing world, but
Oh,
it's just
I heard it was.
yeah, it's
like
kind
they
of
make it like if I beat myself with a stick, will it fall off, kind of thing.
Exactly, and that's the way we focus on everything. Is so it's I went as far as one of the things that we've done is I made my own vacuform table, so I can pull my own vacuform armor, anything I want. And
Yeah,
then
yeah.
I saw that on the TV.
Yeah, I just keep stepping it up. So I'm like, okay, well, what can we do to make the oven hotter so we can pull bigger material, and kind of give new mediums out to people of like something that you wouldn't see normally. You're like, oh, I expect that to be styrene or something like that.
Right.
Like, no, it's like 090 ABS, or it's something a little heavier than that. And it's it's properly armor graded.
Right.
But yeah, durability is the one thing that I really like focusing all of my costume materials on. So it's
Yeah.
it's like
Definitely.
we go down the fabric aisle, like picking this fabric. Like this fabric.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let me tell you,
It's a
that was
character in its own.
Yeah, the fabric's a character in its own, and then we couldn't find quite the right materials that we wanted. But then I looked at the character and I went, okay, this guy's obviously really outrageous with his costumes. He changes them out a little bit, so as long as we can find similar prints in the same similar off tones. So it's something outrageously shiny like this versus something very dark like the pants are. Those will work for a fabric, for a material. But yeah, I do the same thing. I wander up and down, up and down, up and down, and just sit there and debate all the fabric and look at it all and go, okay, which one do I like the most? Yeah, then I give it the stretch and give it the feel and go, which one's actually going to hold up? Because I don't want a seam ripping
Yeah.
out in the middle of a panel walking across the con. Somebody grabs my shoulder and the whole thing just rips to hell. It's
For sure.
I can't have that.
It's traumatizing. It truly is.
And what about you? What goes into your process? I mean, I realize like it's kind of a similar
It's
stuff.
all a
but-
pretty similar process, but personally, like it does make a lot of sense to pick something that will hold up. But half the time, the stuff that will hold up, I'm poor. Let's put it that way. So I pick things that look like they'll hold up. Fake it till you make it. There you go. Philosophy on life. But yeah, I either like to make it look like that. I like to make it look more not stage-like, I guess a stage-like is a way to put it, just like more theatrical looking, like painting on weathering to make it like cartoonish, like I guess Borderlands would be a good way to describe it, like painting on the fake weathering and stuff. I always think that looks really cool, just like you just look like you popped out, like literally, because you got lines on your face. But I also like to pick characters that either inspire me or I think are going to be really fun to wear. Because like I picked this because Wonder Woman's an inspiration. Like she's just a great icon, and I love pinup, and it's just like I love wearing things that are just like I know I'm gonna have fun in, and just like also I could like have fun with friends, and like there's something I want to like if it's really complicated, I gotta be on stilts or something. Like I know I'm gonna have fun, but it's not like I'm gonna party in it.
Yeah, that's definitely a consideration. I'm like, can you use the bathroom in it easily?
Do I have to have 3 people lift this up so I can pee? I don't know.
Thank you. Yeah,
That's a huge one.
I've altered that into my my new costumes. I go, okay, I have to be able to sit and I have to be able to pee.
Right.
Both of these things need to happen at a con.
Yeah,
especially
absolutely.
being in a costume for 8 hours. I'm like, no.
You don't need to breathe.
No.
Yeah, actually,
full face mask.
I've done a lot of superhero costume stuff, and you'd think I'd be all about the unitard. I'm like, no, 2 pieces, man. Like seriously.
Zipper.
Yeah, zippers are awesome.
I've had experiences where I have costumes where I just can't sit down and it's awful. Oriana and Elise, like I can't really sit down in those costumes, especially Oriana. There's just no way.
You have to like
the
go
worst.
perch on things, and it doesn't do you any justice. It's like a
doesn't-
giant
Weird
tease
stool
for
And it's just
actually
like-
sitting.
and then you have to create your own seat.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's insane. And like last year, I remember I ended up for some reason being in Oriana for like 8 hours. That
Pro
was
tip,
not
try on your
fun.
costume and doing things in it before you wear it to con, because the
Yes.
worst thing
Definitely,
ever, I realized I
definitely.
couldn't sit down at the con. I was like, oh no, what do I do?
Definitely don't get changed in a parking garage prior to running a panel and putting a costume on for the very first time in a parking garage while dressing for other people. Definitely don't do
It's all
that.
theoretical.
Don't do that because it makes you late to your panel.
Yeah, actually, yesterday I was wandering around in my alloy costume, which is a big orange robot, and that was the first armor I ever did. And something I learned early on, because I used to do a lot of like promotional stuff for like charity fundraisers and stuff. So I'd like go out flyering and stuff, and I used to do that on my own and like take the bus in a robot costume on like a Tuesday, which is really fun. But there were a couple of times where I'm like, oh yeah, I really need like a robot wrangler, because like my vision is slightly obscured, and like sometimes a little kid is a total jerk and I can't see him, and he's like fast. Yeah, there's this one particular kid that I totally went off on. After about an hour, he kept throwing rocks at me from behind. And then I normally
I've never
don't
hit a
swear
child,
at children,
but I'll punch
yeah. So yeah, for me, my process on choosing stuff is one like, do I know how to do it? Do I know how to already work in a material that will work? Do I need to expand out into something? And I kind of look for stuff where it's like, oh, I kind of wanted to expand into this or learn how to do armor this way, like EVA foam. I've been curious about that for like armor stuff. And yeah.
I think that's the fun of it too, just like figuring out what you could use, be like, okay, this doesn't exist, so how can I make it real? Like things that are like there's a character, she has like it's kind of like a sun behind her, and like down here, I can't really even describe it, but it's just like floating, and it's just like, well, that doesn't exist. I can't just make a hologram around me. So you just like trying to think of things like that, just be like, how can I make this real without it looking ridiculous?
Yeah, modifying a concept from like a really simple like drawing or animation or video game or something
How
like
can
that.
I not have legs?
It's like, oh, it actually has to have seams and everything needs to fit together.
Things with accurate seams are just like a cosplayer's wet dream.
Yeah.
Physics. How do we break you, physics?
AKA
Right.
Frozen, where they have like the HD of like all the seams. You can tell what fabric they have. And I'm just like,
Thank you.
thank you.
Yeah. That's pretty awesome. Okay, so I want to get into a little more depth on like on how you work with materials and stuff like that. So let's get started with you, Britt. Tell us about stuff.
Tell us
Stuff.
about stuff.
Okay,
Stuff and
stuff. Oh God, they're staring at me.
Okay, all right. Let me try that again. What are some materials that you like to work with, and just kind of give a little introduction on working with those materials.
Okay, so, I mean, I work with like a bunch of fabrics a lot of the time. That's a whole nother like subject and panel in and of itself. So, you know, you
Fabric
sew
Choice
it.
101.
But some of the non-fabric materials that I end up working with a lot, I do love leather. I love leather a lot. And you can work with leather with some really simple tools, honestly. Like, this is my leather working kit.
Not that big. Don't
It's
need a
not
lot
that
of
big.
stuff.
This is only for like stitching and hand stitching and whatnot. Like, so it's not like, you know, molding, like wet molding, or, you know, like doing all the embossing and
So
whatnot.
you don't have to buy an $800 leather working machine.
Yeah,
you- so you don't.
actually, show us what's in there. Show it
Yeah.
all.
Okay.
Sorry, leather
So
working
like,
joke.
here's an awl. You poke holes with it. It's great. It's
And
sharp.
how
it's pointy.
much do you get that for, and like where can you pick one of those up?
Oh, I don't remember. I've had this all for forever. Also, leather tools tend to be, or at least they're generally pretty sturdy. So once you've got it, it'll last usually. He can tell you more about leather tools, I'm sure.
I just bought an awl, actually. They're about $15 at Tammy.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I just
stores.
kind of
Yeah.
acquired this somehow through like my mother. Like, yeah, there's beeswax. This is beeswax right here. Like, you just, if you have a non-wax thread, then you just send your thread right through the beeswax. You can, I don't know if you guys can see, but there's
So
like
it
little.
threads a lot easier that
Yeah,
way then?
it just threads a lot easier. Here's a spacer. You can cut straight lines with it, or like I want this to be exactly a 1/4 inch wide, and it'll mark it out for you. You just set it to whatever width you want, and you just bring it right along the edge of your leather.
That's pretty
great.
awesome.
This little guy. Again, I'm really bad with terminology.
Indenty thing.
This is like a hole marker. It just spaces out where you're going to put your stitches. So you just run it along the fabric, or not the fabric, the leather, and that's where your holes are going to
So
be.
it's like a little pizza cutter with pokey bits on it.
Yeah, little pokey bits. It just tells you where you want to put your
Indenty
holes.
Yeah.
It's
Got
great.
it?
I love you guys, by the way.
Key thing, indent thing. Yeah. We're learning a lot today.
Yeah, and then lastly, like, you know, you got your thread and your needles. The needles tend to be, like, this is thread. I've used a shit ton of this for,
And so that's not
projects.
like standard like fabric store thread.
No, it's much thicker. Like, you can probably see it. Like, it's really thick, and it's all waxed up. This is waxed already.
So you can buy pre-wax.
And then I've just got a whole bunch of like needles. They're thicker and they're duller than normal needles. Mostly because they're just more blunt, because you're trying to get through a much thicker material, and going in with like a super fine point and then your needle gets stuck. It sucks.
Also, I guess it's worth mentioning that these are for working with actual leather as opposed to
Yes.
the suede and fake leather that you can
Yes.
get at Joann's.
Yeah, like pleather stuff.
Real animal hide.
Yeah, I love leather. It's wonderful. And then lastly, probably
Don't
like
offend
there's
anyone.
also hole punches that I've got in here, but they're not that
Just the
interesting.
cutest little pliers
Oh my
I've ever
God.
seen.
I know.
These are my favorite tool ever. They are ridiculously tiny pliers, and
Teeny
they are
pliers.
the best. I have used these things on, I don't know, not even leather projects, even like on everything. But they are just the perfect size that if I put my needle through the hole and it gets stuck, I can't pull it out with my own hands. I just take it and I pull.
They're like large pliers for a hamster.
Yeah, they're adorable. Like, I had to beg my mother just to let me take a pair from her because she is in love with hers.
Those
Like,
are awesome, yeah.
super begging for that. But yeah, so this is like, you can do super simple, like even this pouch right here. Woo. It's just all like hand stitched, and you can do stuff like this simply with just a very small kit.
And again, like, so after you mark the holes, you like punch the holes with the
Yep.
awl, which is like
First you mark,
scary ice pick thing.
Then you punch.
But it's called an awl.
it's an awl.
So.
It's also worth making a pattern because leather can be pretty
Yes.
expensive.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, make a pattern.
And
Rather
like,
mess up some muslin than some.
yes,
I
definitely.
use cardstock for all of my leather patterning.
I
guess that
totally,
makes
I
sense.
totally, yeah, I prototype everything. All this, you know, and this is all plastic. This is actually like
Let's talk about your costume.
styrene. Yeah, let's talk about me now. Styrene plastic, actually, built around EVA like flooring foam.
Hey, that's a quilting.
Yeah, oh yeah, and this is an embroidery hoop.
Embroidery
So
hoops
actually,
are
yeah, and the
awesome.
other half of the embroidery hoop is here, because I'm like, where can I find two rings that will fit together perfectly? Aww. And then I went
Sign from
to
above.
the extra step, and I put bolts in the bottom here, and then at the same space on the inside, I put magnets. So let's see if we can get the satisfying sound.
Oh no. Aha.
Ah, crap!
That's not so satisfying.
Yeah, that's not so satisfying.
Where did you get the fishbowl?
Oh, this is actually because I looked for years. I'm like, where do you find like? Because I wanted to make an astronaut
perfect
helmet,
sphere.
and I didn't know for the longest time. This is an acrylic lighting globe.
I've seen people use those. I've heard people that had to make those sort of things. They go off the street and steal them.
Yeah, you can order them online. Just it's about 40,
follow their footsteps.
45 or 50 bucks.
So break the law for cosplay.
This is a 14-inch one. You can get 16-inch ones. I think that's a little, I mean, that seems a little too big for me. But I've seen people that do like NASA costumes do that. And you can get 12-inch ones. I don't know how well your head would fit in there because I had to Dremel the bottom open to make it big enough for my head and
You
everything.
got a little,
so.
little baby head.
Let's see, there was an
Astronaut
agenda.
babies.
So, let's see. We got to you on Processy. Did we get to you on
A little bit.
Free for All?
Free for all. Freestyle.
Yeah. So yeah, I like this. It's a new trick that I picked up with the flooring foam. Actually, I brought some supplies myself to show off.
Ooh.
Cool.
I took the bus, so I didn't.
I
I already looked weird enough. I had a giant
I got
poofy
dressed
skirt
in a
and like,
parking garage, so
yes, goals.
yeah. I was like, oh right, panel.
Right.
Gotta run. It's
So-
also very hard to get a 200-pound guy into a tick costume that only has 2 openings.
Oh no.
It's really awkward in a garage of all places too.
Wait. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Friendships
Your
were
friend
made.
did that.
Yeah, they should be here any minute, but yeah, like putting him into that costume was.
Personal.
It was, yeah. He's a really good friend. I wouldn't do that
Another
for most
really
people.
good
He's a
friend.
really good friend. I wouldn't do that for most people. Just
Just saying.
Okay. So actually, before we make this the me show, I do want to ask you, Jesse, like
Yeah.
what materials do you work with mostly and.
I constantly like one of the things that I do for any of my costumes is I always pick a costume that has a new technique to learn on it. You know, and so there's there's a season 2 of Heroes of Cosplay coming out
Woo!
for everybody to know.
Promotional
We
read.
filmed it, we wrapped it, and there's a lot of new techniques that I try to show off to everybody in that one. That are all now under an NDA until the episodes come out, of course.
You
Yay.
can make the reading rainbow of cosplay.
But yeah, but you know, I try to always pick a new technique, like something new to learn on a costume. So I picked up learning how to cast metal.
Oh
So,
wow.
Yeah,
Like-
so in my garage, and so like all of my tools that I work with, my vacuum former, my CNC, everything else that I work with, I built myself.
I'd break
Like
my hand.
Yeah.
I refuse to go buy tools like that, and I just there's no reason you can't build something yourself.
Yeah, I mean those things like a vacuum form machine would cost like thousands of
Yeah,
bucks.
and
right?
they're actually really, really simple to make.
I have one in my basement.
If you're interested, I have just email me or hit me up on my Facebook page. Let me know, and I'll send you the plans that I took plans and took photos of all of my vacuum form rig, and I think you can put one together for like under $100.
Yeah, quick question here. Who in the audience knows what vacuum forming is?
All right.
Okay,
good.
right, perfect.
It's magic
Who
every time.
here does not know what vacuum forming is? Okay, yeah. So do you want to
Sure,
tell them
sure.
what vacuum forming is?
Yeah. So basically, I guess the easiest way to describe it is think of an air hockey table, how it has a ton of little holes in it. But think of it on the reverse side. So instead of pushing air out, you're sucking air in. So opposite of that, you have a heating unit that heats a piece of plastic. That piece of plastic is clamped between some metal frames so that nothing melts except for just the plastic. You heat it to a certain degree depending on the plastic, depending on what you're doing. 5.
Thank you. 5.
You heat the plastic basically, and then you have a form that's sitting on top of your vacuum form, on top of your hold table, and you have suction underneath it. Once the plastic gets to the warm part, you stretch it down over the top of whatever material you're going to, you're going to form, whatever shape you're going to form. The second it creates the seal, the plastic all sucks down, cools down, and then is a rigid shape, and you cut it out, trim it out, paint it as you want.
Yeah,
And-
it's totally cool. Like, so like I have a super small version in my basement, and it's basically like a barbecue grill.
Yep.
Upside down, and then you take a sheet of plastic like in a kind of window frame, and it's just like styrene plastic, just flat plastic, and then you there's like a box with holes in it. It's actually like a cookie sheet.
Yep,
with like
exactly.
holes drilled into it, and then
Costs more on a budget.
after you heat up the sheet of plastic on the frame, you have like a frame, a shape that's sitting on top of
Your mold.
the box, and then you just pull it down and turn on the vacuum, and it's like all the little holes are just like, bring it to me. And
So are your guys'
pretty cool.
vacuum forms kind of fast? Because the ones I've seen one before that was like ultra fast and it terrified me.
Yeah,
'Cause it was like,
yeah, it's
melting
totally
down
fast.
really slow and then
It's really quick.
and just
Yeah.
I was like take it back and almost fell over.
It's super quick. But the biggest resource that I like found items. And so, you don't have to create everything. You don't have to make everything from scratch for any of your cosplay, because or anything in any industry for props, for creations, for things like that. It's 900 times better to always find a material.
Like a half circle.
Yeah. So or exactly like your clamps there.
Yeah.
But I frequent the Goodwill bins. And so I will just go walking through and just like, oh, I'm feeling extra creative today. Let's go visit the bins. And suddenly I have this cart full of crap that, they're like, what
Just
are you
different
buying?
shapes.
And I'm like, yeah, just
Don't worry
different
about
shapes and different things, and
Practice.
I get a lot of fabric. So we do a lot of period stuff. Like we do a lot of Ren Fair stuff, and we do a lot of pirate garb and SCA things. And I get like 100% linen sheets all the time, and they're like $1. So you
Yeah,
get like
totally.
king size linen sheets for like $1. Like, come
can
on.
go on a
And then
whole
you can
nother
dye
string
that.
of
Yeah, you
Goodwill
can dye that
costumes.
whatever you want. But that's where I source a large majority of my materials, and that also
from
saves you
secondhand.
on a budget wise. And
Oh,
that way,
yeah,
when you need
totally.
to buy leather or you need to buy something that's super extravagant, you're like, oh well, this costume's not going to cost me that much because
Right, right.
I've sourced 90% of it somewhere else, and I'm not going buying all brand new material.
Being
Yeah,
on a
totally.
budget is not bad.
No,
Yeah,
it's
it's
essential.
not bad at all.
Or time restrictions.
So speaking of time restrictions,
Yeah.
I do want to. We're running out of time here, but I want to give everyone a chance to pitch. If people want to find out more about you and your cosplay, where would they find you? And also just throw in there if you can think of like an awesome
helpful tip.
Just throw that in there. So.
Okay.
Brit.
Well, you can find me. Our website is whiterabbitcostuming.com. I have cards, so if you find me afterwards, and ask me for one, I can give one to you. So yeah, whiterabbitcostuming.com. You can find me on Facebook. Just look up BritTheBadger. Same on DeviantArt, Twitter, also BritTheBadger. We also just got a Tumblr too. So yeah, that's where you can find me. And as for tips, hardware stores, you end up going into them a lot. They are your friends. Hardware stores are amazing.
Indeed.
Sometimes I have to find different ways to describe it.
Yeah.
You get some funny looks in a
So I
hardware
need to
store,
make
but
these
it's fun.
stilts.
Find a
Someone who's
hardware
10 feet
store
tall.
and like consistently go there
To the one
and
guy.
to find
Find a
that
guy.
one guy because
Right.
so my local Home Depot knows me the same way. They're like, "What are you building today? What is same thing are you building today?"
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
So-
like here's reference photos. I need to
Right.
build these.
So Jesse, give us your info.
So you can find me anywhere social media wise. Midnight Armor Inc. Facebook's the best way to find us. Twitter as well. Midnight Armor. Anything you guys want, just post questions. We'll try to answer them as much as possible, or give you videos on like how to cast with silicone, or how to build your own vacuum form machine, or whatever else. There's nothing you can't do. Everybody's like, I hate to say it this way, but people have been building stuff for hundreds of thousands of years. Leather in
Humans are
everything
creative.
else. Humans are creative. Chances are somebody's done it. Chances are
Tutorials.
Google knows.
Yeah,
that
Google
somebody's
knows.
done it.
Yeah.
Google
And
knows.
YouTube probably knows as well, though you
Yeah.
might have to like watch
Yep.
some really bad videos
Yeah.
to,
So
to find it out.
don't ever be afraid of doing anything costume-wise. Just
Yeah,
you're
absolutely.
like, I want to do this costume. Just do it. Like,
do
just
it.
get out there, do it. Like, fail miserably at it, because
Yeah.
that's the best way you learn
Come
on
back
any
to it.
material. And you're like, that really sucks. I will build a better one.
Perfect.
Yeah,
And that's
better,
just
stronger.
do it.
Okay,
Yeah.
so Miranda, how can people find out about your cosplaying?
Okay, well, I have a Facebook page and a DeviantArt. It's Pookie Bear Cosplay. I also have an Instagram. It's my Pookie Bear, but you can see all my quirky antics. Fun. And I guess something I could say is never be discouraged for someone you want to cosplay. Just like body
Yeah.
type, skin color, anything.
Yeah,
and just like
absolutely second
Yeah.
that.
And
Absolutely.
I'm going to say, like, cosplay on a budget, that's like my field. I go to Goodwill, I get
Yeah.
fabrics, I
Yeah,
get
I'll take one of
sheets,
those.
and then these random things will be like, what can I make out of this, and how is it going to look cool? And just never be discouraged. Just do what you want to do. Practice, come back to it. And YouTube is really good for surprisingly specific things. Be like,
Yeah.
I don't know how to make this one part of
Absolutely.
my costume. There's 5 tutorials for it.
Yeah.
YouTube, DeviantArt, Tumblr, lots of things.
Chances are somebody's built it. Go look.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do what you want to be who you want to be, cosplay, woo!
And if they haven't built it, then there's probably something similar that you can adapt.
Yeah,
Right,
adaption.
exactly.
Like, if there's a tutorial out there and it's like, it's not like this specific prop, but it goes over the general, like,
Look
thoughts
for
of what
something
you want to use.
similar. Be
yeah,
like, this
just do
character
that.
kind of looks like that, and they're a popular character.
Or different materials. So I'm Benja Barker. I'm head of Alter Ego Society, and we've just started doing costuming stuff professionally. After the madness of the con is over, I'll be launching our Etsy page, and I work mostly with styrene sheet plastic and come up with like durable stuff. I'm going to be getting into armor and like gauntlets and stuff like that. But right now, I've got some really awesome masks and belt buckles and false belt buckles that you can wrap around a pre-existing
belt
belt.
buckles.
Yeah. But yeah, as far as tip and technique, this I just freaking love this because Jesse, nodded his head when I mentioned EVA foam. This is just flooring foam that you can pick up for like
Home Depot.
$10 for 4 big
Or go to your local playground
big
and take
sheets
it.
of these. Don't do that.
We don't,
don't do
steal
that.
for cosplay.
No, Pookie.
Come on. No.
I'm sorry.
The
I'm
bad
sorry.
Pookie.
But
I can't go back to jail.
but so yeah, that's what I built this whole thing out of is just the EVA foam with hot glue, and that provided the structure. And then on the outside, styrene sheet plastic, which is super easy to work with. I wish I had more time to get into that. You just use an X-Acto knife, and you can snap it, just like lightly score it, and then snap it, and you can
Create all sorts of great shapes that way.
Yeah, and then, I mean, you can see, like, there are just screws on here, and I added basically, like, these white pieces of plastic on the back here. Those are
Make it look neat.
basically just, like, false bolts, just like something that's not foam, so it didn't,
Yeah.
like, the screws didn't pop through. But, like, yeah, this is just foam, but, like, it looks super neat because there's plastic on the outside.
Yeah.
So that's my pro tip.
And if you guys ever are discouraged about something, just know that it's like, oh, I can't cosplay, I don't have the talent. Practice makes perfect. Just
Yeah,
go
and you
get some bed
absolutely
sheets, tear 'em
have
up.
to, like, you absolutely have to make mistakes. So,
Yeah,
like,
and everyone
Yes.
starts somewhere. Like, I started with my mom's sheets and a hot glue gun, and that's why I don't have fingertips. And that's why I'm the perfect criminal.
if you can, find a heat gun that has a low power, or not heat gun, but a hot glue gun that has a low setting as well. So I guess we got to wrap up. Thank you all very much for
Viva
coming
la
to the.
cosplay!
So if anyone has questions, I know I'll be out in the area out there.
We'll mingle for a while.
We'll mingle for a while. So yeah, feel free to ask us questions out there, and thank you again.
You're all beautiful.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
What up? What up?
Those contacts.
It's really awkward. I lost my lipstick in here. Yeah. I was gonna mention the artist, and then I was gonna be like, but then I lost my lipstick.
Oh my god.
I was reaching in there.